from, what am I doing?
As long as you're behind the speaker.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna turn.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Oh, that's actually pretty nice. Yeah, so I grew up in Texas, actually, right? And my family raised and grew a lot of our own food. My dad runs a cow-calf operation. And since I put roots down here 17 years ago, I've been learning a lot about our ag community and the role that farmers and ranchers play in conservation and stewarding land in California. And our RCD works to a large degree with farmers and ranchers. The groups that have come here today to speak for y'all, about their programs. We understand that farmers, you guys are really incredibly busy, and that we need to make possible participation in our programs easy. Part of this is making it easy to learn about our programs. So, with us here in person, where we can have several kinds of ways to communicate our programs. Hopefully that's helpful. So today, what it's about, go ahead. There you go. The idea of Programs 101 is to get us here together with people that provide technical assistance and funding opportunities for you to be able to ask questions, learn, and talk one-on-one. So we're keeping this short and sweet as possible that we can, and we'll only focus on today programs that are either free services to growers or direct funding. So that's our focus. There's a lot of programs, as y'all probably know, but we wanted to make that the focus. We have, please take a folder with you. There's a lot more additional information in those. We know your time's valuable, and that we're offering this also about a bit late in the season, but we went to Clinton County and just got inspired and wanted to put it out there too, just because there are a lot of opportunities that you may or may not know about, and we want to give you that information. So we felt it was important to go ahead and do it. And we will also, we're also attempting a recording, so hopefully that'll work. So the agenda, which you have in the folders for the day, these are our speakers. The first hour of this workshop is going to be dedicated to the 7-minute overviews of these programs. There's a copy of the program in the folder. We're going to ask everyone to keep questions to the end of the presentation so we can get through those. Then we'll open it up to questions for the entire group. And then we'll break at the very end and spend 30 minutes just being here. If you want to walk up and talk to anybody, that was interesting or have some questions, you can also have one-on-ones at that time. So we'll wrap up at 11:30. The bathrooms are around the corner. There's also filling up water bottles. If you haven't had a burrito from Guadalajara, there's bacon and chorizo. There's a couple of veggie ones in there too, and some coffee. So please help yourself to that. And one more I wanted to show you. Okay, so if you're not seeing this screen or you prefer to have it on your phone, you can take a minute here to get that QR code, and you'll be able to follow along that way. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to our first speaker, which is Sara Lipschutz.
Thank you, Heather. I see some new faces, some familiar faces. Thank you so much for being here, everyone. My name is Sara Lipschutz. I'm a soil conservationist with our Woodland Natural Resources Conservation Service Office, or NRCS. And I'm just going to talk.
I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt for 1 second. There is a Wi-Fi code. It is, it's in my pocket. It is login as guest. Can you back up to the QR really quick? I'm sorry, Sara. And so the password is Davis at 1917. The at sign. So it's guest Davis at 1917. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm gonna be mostly talking about EQIP today, just because we have limited time. If you have not heard of us, NRCS is a federal agency, and we provide private landowners and farmers, growers, ranchers, forest owners, conservation assistance in the form of technical and financial assistance to align with your operational goals as well as their priorities and objectives. We were originally born out of the Dust Bowl, focusing mostly on soil erosion, but we have now kind of transitioned to focus on a lot of different things, which is awesome. We are a non-regulatory agency, so all participation in our programs is fully voluntary as well as confidential, and we do accept applications for our programs all year round. Okay, so EQIP stands for Environmental Quality Incentives Program. This is our main program for providing assistance for conservation practices. And through this program, we're again doing financial and technical assistance. And some of the benefits that we are focusing on, improving air, soil, water quality, conserving water and energy, which will hopefully save you guys money, preventing soil erosion, as well as enhancing habitat for wildlife. Okay, so we focus on conservation practices. That might be a little bit of a different word than you all might use, but it's basically anything that might be vegetative, structural, or management based that could help with conserving or improving natural resources. And so we have a list of about 100 plus practices we use, but just to keep it focused on Yolo County, we're doing a lot of drip systems with soil moisture sensors, cover cropping, orchard and vineyard recycling, compost or mulch, hedgerow plantings, tractor and other ag equipment replacement, as well as livestock watering systems, just to name a few. So how to go about getting assistance? The first step is to always reach out. We're always in our office, and I'll have our contact information as well on the slides. And usually the first step is to schedule a field visit where we come out, meet with you, and we'll start to get a kind of a picture of what your operation is, what your goals are, priorities, what would be feasible for you, and how we might be able to fit some of that into a conservation plan. From there, we would have you fill out an application packet, and we are a government agency. We do have some paperwork, but we will help you every step of the way with all of that paperwork. And then we would work with you to build your conservation plan. So that's a personalized kind of project that would not only meet your goals, but it would address the resource concerns that we're using our federal money to address. And then we would rank your project against other similar types of projects. So all our tractors are ranked against other tractors, irrigation systems against other irrigation systems, etc. And then when we have a batching period or a funding cycle, our state office in Davis goes through and kind of just picks as many as they can with as many or as much money as we have to try to spread that out, get as many projects as we can. This is just a slide on kind of where we're at. There's been a lot of changes with federal government lately. So currently all of our contract holders are being paid as normal regarding funding source, whether it's our normal farm bill or through that Inflation Reduction Act. We do have a pause on the IRA just while they're reviewing that funding. So that's for all our applications that we have currently. And if you have worked with us in the past, recent or previously, we're kind of going back to funding from about 3 to 4 years ago. So it's not as abundant because we don't currently have that IRA, but we are hoping to go back to more of a focus on conservation planning, building those relationships with you, although that will mean it will be more competitive. So I just wanted to give that update. And then if you'd like to take a picture, this is all of our contact information for everybody in our office. So we have Brandy, who's our district conservationist. Nick will work on any sort of livestock projects and pasture projects. And I work on cropland, vineyard, orchards, row crops, annual crops, anything like that. And Ken is our field office engineer. So thank you very much. Okay, so next I'm going to be introducing the Farm Service Agency, which will be Josie and Paul.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Josephine Medina. I'm the Yolo County County Executive Director for FSA. And then this is Paul. He is our farm loans for the Yolo County office. So pretty much FSA is part of the USDA. We also work along with NRCS. We work with Sara a lot at the Yolo County office. Pretty much the Farm Service Agency implements agricultural policy, administers credits and loan programs, as well as manages conservation, commodity, disaster, farm marketing programs through national network of service centers. We have thousands of centers. Every county has a center. So yeah. So pretty much FSA is broken down into two main categories. We have the farm loan side, and then we have the farm program side. As far as FSA goes, we cover conservation as well as disaster programs, and we also have farm bill programs. Majority of our producers at Yolo County do come to us for disaster programs, so I'm going to put a little bit of emphasis on that mainly this time. So these are the 6 main disaster programs that we do offer. Every year, every month, depending on the situation, there will be new disaster programs that are going to be implemented. Could be from there and on for the future years, or it could just be for that specific year. For example, we had a pandemic program during COVID. We had a program then for 2 years and then it ended. So pretty much in regards to Yolo County, the ones that we do see that producers are coming in for are ELAP, NAP, and TAP. So ELAP is our emergency assistance for livestock, honeybee, and what is that? Farm-raised fish program. So pretty much we're providing assistance when there are natural disasters that are killing your livestock or your honeybees. We have a lot of apiaries in Yolo, so we do see CCD, things like that. A lot of our producers will come in for those things. We do also have NAP, so pretty much we will insure crops that are not typically already insured by most insurance companies. That one does have a yearly fee, but it is, of course, an optional program, and we do have certain circumstances where that fee can be waived. And then we do also have our TAP assistance program, so a lot of our vineyards in the areas do go along with this program. We help pretty much provide funds for things as pretty much red curl and things like that when it comes to their leaves, and they have to rebuild their orchards, and we'll help assist them with those funds.
Everybody, I'm Paul Sullivan. I'm the loan officer out of the Petaluma office, although I serve most of Northern California. Unless you're in that northeastern corner, which is a different district, any loan that you're making with FSA is probably going to be going to me or my manager. So FSA is a temporary source of funding and a last resort lender. So what that means is that we help out people who cannot get funding elsewhere. So people who cannot get funding from Ag Credit, FarmLink, whatever bank you're going to. If you get denied from them, that actually fulfills the credit elsewhere requirement that we have. Now, there are a couple of exceptions to that. If you have a joint finance loan or a guaranteed loan, obviously we're working with another bank, so we wouldn't need that. But for our direct loans, where we have it 100% through us, that is a major one. Being a citizen, just really quick, and then owner-operator of the farm, we're directly related to the people who are producing food or fiber. So people who are actually on the ground doing the farm operations is who we serve primarily. So the farm loans basically fall under 2 categories: farm ownership and operating. Operating loans go up to $400,000 for our direct loans. Those are all of your supplies, seeds, equipment is a big one. Any operational expenses would fall under our operational loan. Those can either be 1 year, so that's really big on row crop farmers or grape growers, to where they just want a loan to get through the harvest, and then at the end of the harvest, you pay the loan. Or for things like equipment, up to a 7-year loan. Our farm ownership loans, that's anything real estate related. That's your farm purchases, your land purchases, building buildings, repairing buildings. That would all be farm ownership. The limit for that is $600,000, and they have a term of up to 40 years. So tips for success, get into contact with your local FSA office if you haven't already. It's really important, not only for loans, but also for the program side, NRCS. They require farm numbers for a lot of different programs. So it's always good to reach out to them. We also have a bulletin that you can go to for our website. Thank you.
And then next up, we're gonna have Conor from the Yolo RC office.
All right. Yeah, thanks everyone for coming out. I'm Conor with Yolo County RCD. So Heather kind of introduced already what an RCD is, Resource Conservation District. But just again, it's a non-regulatory agency. So again, voluntary. We work on local needs, and it's all targeted towards conservation restoration work. So we got a few focus areas in our program. Today I'm going to specifically kind of hone in on our farm and ranch technical assistance, but it'll vary depending where you are. And there's RCDs throughout the state. So if you're not in Yolo County, there's going to be an RCD near you in your county. So definitely reach out to those resources. They offer great, excellent free resources. In our program, kind of our centerpiece is our mobile irrigation lab. I'm sure many of you get the emails from me about that. It's restarted about 2 years ago in an attempt to conserve water and energy, and in doing so, help promote healthy soils. So we do irrigation evaluations, and we also do pump testing as well, and we do outreach events like this. So what does that look like? So basically it starts off with just a phone call, and we'll come out to your farm. And we will collect pressures and flows throughout your system. We'll start at the pump and work towards the ends of your lateral lines, trying to get a good snapshot of what's going on in your system on that day in terms of pressure and flow. And we'll create a map from that, kind of outlining so you can see, okay, maybe I got great pressure at the pump, but by the last lateral, I'm dropping down a lot, or maybe there's a weird zone. If you're not measuring it, you can't really address the problem. So we can come out there and do that for you. And while we're doing that, we'll collect flows as well at areas of high, mid, and low pressure. And we'll provide you with an application rate. Again, this is useful for scheduling. You need to have an application rate when you're building out your schedule. So we can provide that number with data just from the field, not necessarily the design plan, because things change over time as things clog, leak, and just wear and tear. Yeah, you can go to the next slide. So with the pressures and flows, we'll give you an idea of your uniformity as well. And another word for that is just how evenly you're irrigating. So you can go 2 slides ahead, actually. So ideally, we'd love to be having every crop receiving the same amount of water. It's not realistic. And oftentimes you're overwatering in some areas and underwatering in others. And typically folks try to irrigate to their least watered crop or their least watered zone, and so it's just going to result in a lot of excess water being put down and excess running of the pump. So uniformity, that's kind of a 0 to 1 scale or 0 to 100%, and so a new system you can see a uniformity of close to 90 and above. We've done about 100 or so evals throughout the county, and we're averaging right around 80% from what the data we've collected in the field is, so definitely room for improvement. And it's oftentimes, a maintenance issue is it's what I try to point out rather than large overhauls. People don't necessarily have thousands and thousands of dollars for a VFD or, installing extra headers. So try to hone in on more maintenance related things. We'll also measure plugs and leaks throughout the system, give you just a sense of, what the water loss is or what's not being put out with those plugs. And again, we'll provide recommendations and we'll have a discussion. So we actually come back out with a report that's confidential and for you. We'll email it or talk over the phone, do a farm visit. And we'll have a sit down and discuss, what areas there are for potential improvement. We can also do pump testing, and we'll touch on it a little bit, but the SWEET program, State Water Efficiency and Enhancement Program, that has a requirement of having a pump test done, and these can cost up to $1,000 or so. So we're able to do that for free for now. We have funding through the rest of this year. So the services that I just went through are completely covered. So take advantage of us while we're here and have funding for it. I'd rather be out in the field. And so we can cover Yolo, Yuba, Sutter, and Colusa. But if you're outside of those counties, there's these irrigation labs throughout the state, and pretty much the whole Sac Valley is covered. And kind of the northern part of the San Joaquin Valley is as well. Yeah, and there's not an application process. Just give me a call or email me and we'll set something up. Aside from the irrigation lab, we can help with those sweep applications. That program provides up to $200,000 for irrigation system improvements. You just have to show that you're decreasing greenhouse gas emissions and increasing water use efficiency. So it can be used for something large like solar or a VFD installation, switching from a non-pressurized to a pressurized system. There's a lot of options. And then Healthy Soils program is kind of the counterpart to that as well. That can provide up to $100,000 for projects that improve soil health. So composting, mulching, cover cropping are some of the main things there. They're not currently open, but Proposition 4 passed in the fall, and so that should be opening up. I've heard people say later this year, maybe next year is more realistic. So keep your eye out for that. Conservation planning, we can help with some of those as well. And carbon farm planning has been kind of one of our most popular ones recently. Pretty much a holistic farm view of looking at ways to try to decrease carbon emissions and sequester it in the soil. It's a good forward-facing document to have and just a good benchmark for your operation. And I maintain an email list, so if you're interested in any of these things, or when I see opportunities come through, I can pass along that information to you. Next slide. Yeah, one that just recently came up through Zero Foodprint. They have a compost connector. I'm not involved with this program, but this email came through, so I just try to pass it along and blast it out so folks know that these opportunities are available. CAF also has some great opportunities, and they'll be here to speak, so I won't touch on that too much. And yeah, so if you have any questions, reach out to me. We have a sign-up form in the back for the irrigation lab. This QR code will also take you to it. But yeah, we're here as a resource. And again, if you're not in Yolo County, or if you got property outside Yolo County, I can connect you with the right people at another RCD. All right, so with that, I'll introduce Hope, who's here with UCNR. I'm Smart.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Hope Zabronsky, and I'm representing UC Cooperative Extension today. So as folks are probably aware, similar to some of the other organizations here, we do have a Cooperative Extension office in every county of the state. So our county Cooperative Extension office for Yolo County is in Woodland. We recently moved offices, so if you are trying to find us, we are no longer on Cottonwood Street. We are now actually on the southeast portion of Woodland, kind of near Road 102 and East Gibson. Is that a little better?
It might be.
Okay. I can also project. So today I'm going to be talking about the program that I manage, which is our statewide Climate Smart Agriculture program. So I provide technical assistance locally in Yolo, Solano, and Sacramento counties. I also have folks who work across the state in other counties doing similar work. So here I just wanted to share briefly some of the technical assistance that we offer through the statewide Climate Smart Agriculture program. We provide education, outreach, and technical assistance at events like these through workshops and presentations. We also provide technical assistance for some of the programs that Conor mentioned, so the State Water Efficiency and Enhancement Program, SWEEP, and the Healthy Soils Program, HSP. And then I'll talk a little bit at the end. We also provide some tailored technical assistance for non-English speaking producers. We have several translators located in our offices who are able to provide language support for folks who might not speak English. So we provide a number of technical assistance activities. So prior to folks receiving an incentive grant, we're able to go out to the farm and conduct site visits and help folks design projects. We can answer questions and connect folks to vendors for possible quotes on different irrigation system parts or other project design components that they might need to complete the Climate Smart project. We also can help with all of the application materials, designing work plans and budgets as part of an application to any grant program. And then as I mentioned, we can connect to vendors and input suppliers in order to design a project. And then we also can provide post-award technical assistance. So if folks receive a grant program through the federal government, the state government, through a local entity, we are also able to provide a full comprehensive suite of implementation resources. So that could look like supporting soil sampling and actually collecting data in the field, maybe around soil health, monitoring, understanding how your soil health might be changing over the course of a grant program. And then we can also help gather verification materials for you to send to whatever entity is managing your grant contract. So we're happy to keep track of those things, help you submit them, take geotagged pictures in the field, and so forth. And then oftentimes in collaboration with many of the organizations here, we will host implementation workshops to talk about how to actually implement some of these practices. So things like hedgerows, we can bring in cooperative extension experts who are really in touch with the best species to select in your region, maybe understand some of the conditions and adaptability of some of these practices. So we do oftentimes host implementation workshops. And then of course we can coordinate with vendors, input suppliers, companies who provide the necessary equipment and supplies for your projects. So we're happy to take that on. We're happy to contact compost companies. We're happy to contact cover crop seed providers, hedgerow seed providers, and so forth. So we're happy to do some of that coordination support as well. And then Conor talked a little bit about some of the grant programs that are currently available for folks to apply for. I wanted to mention 2 programs in particular that are currently open for producers to apply for. So the first is called Seeds for Bees, which is a program that an organization called Project APISM is currently running. And this program provides a discount on cover crop and hedgerow seeds. So depending on if it's your first year going through this program, your second year, or a year past, you can receive different rates of discounted cover crop and hedgerow seeds. So that's a really nice resource for folks. And that program is open now until August 31st. So there's quite a bit of time for folks to apply. And then as Conor mentioned, the second program that's currently also open through Zero Foodprint, which is a nonprofit organization, is the Compost Connector. And we can help with applications to this program. This program provides a discount on the price of compost. So unlike the Healthy Soils program, it's not a full payment for compost, but it does provide a discounted rate for a compost application if you might have an alternative source of funding. And then I wanted to briefly mention that we have a huge group of researchers and farm advisors located in our offices with specialized knowledge and expertise in a range of topics. So we have crop and livestock advisors. We have folks that specialize on irrigation systems as part of cooperative extension. We have a really wonderful small farms team in our local office. Some of you may know Margaret Lloyd, who's our organic and small farms advisor. She's a really wonderful resource, and she also has a team of folks, including the groups that I have here on the screen, who are able to provide additional specialized support to producers. So for example, we have Pham, who is our Mien Outreach Associate, and she's able to provide translation services to Mien speaking producers in our region. And then we have Philip, who is our Spanish speaking translator, so he can also support folks who speak Spanish. And I also wanted to mention, in addition to some of these services, the small farms team also lends out equipment to local producers. So if you're looking for something like a fairly small compost spreader, that is something that can be borrowed through our small farms team. So I did want to mention that we have tons of cooperative extension advisors who are also a really great resource. And I'm happy to connect folks to anyone in our office if there's a specific resource that you're looking for. So this is my contact information, and the QR code is on the screen in case you would like to kind of link to our website. I'm also happy at the end to answer any questions that folks have about any specific resource needs that you might have. Great, so I would like to now invite the Yolo-Solano Air Quality Management District, Brielle and Eden.
Good morning. My name is Eden Winniford, and I am with the Yolo-Solano Air Quality Management District, and Brielle is taking photos. And so today we would like to go over some of our grant programs that are available to agricultural producers. First, some background on the Air District. We are a local government agency. We cover all of Yolo County and the northeastern part of Solano, so Dixon, Vacaville, and Rio Vista. We offer funding for heavy-duty off-road equipment during solicitation cycles that happen annually, usually in the springtime. And then we have a couple of other programs available on a first-come, first-served basis year-round. So right now we're in the middle of a funding cycle, our 2025 solicitation. We have about $2.3 million available for grants and incentives. We're accepting one application per applicant. And the funding that's awarded is given out through a random drawing. So you would be randomly selected out of a pool of applicants. If you're applying to replace a diesel engine that's tier 0 or tier 1, then that application would be entered twice into the random drawing. So you would be doubling your odds. And applications are due by Friday, May 2nd, and should be submitted either via email or mailed. And we'll be sending a confirmation email to confirm receipt. If you apply and you don't receive a confirmation, it means that we didn't receive your application. So make sure that you receive that confirmation email. So more information about this solicitation cycle. Eligible equipment includes off-road heavy-duty equipment like tractors, backhoes, ag pumps, anything like that. And the existing equipment must have a tier 3 or older diesel engine. And then the older the engine, the more funding that you're likely to accept or receive. The minimum funding or the maximum funding is 80% of eligible costs of the new piece of equipment up to $150,000. So whichever one is lower. And it's okay to purchase used equipment as long as it has a warranty. And then pull behind low dust nut harvesters are also eligible. We unfortunately don't have any funding right now for PTO powered harvesters, but sometimes depending on the funding that we have available, that's also an option. The existing pull behind units have to be destroyed at the end of the project and replaced by a low dust model that has been approved and certified by the state. The maximum funding is 60% of eligible costs up to $49,000, whichever is lower. So the program timeline, applications are due on May 2nd, and we'll be holding the random drawing to award funding in June. Then we'll be notifying applicants of their tentative award amounts in July. Afterwards, if you've been selected, you'll set up a pre-inspection with the district, enter into a contract, and then after that contract phase, you'd be able to buy the new equipment and have your old equipment scrapped. And then you would submit the final documents to receive reimbursement from the Air District. So this is a reimbursement program. You would purchase the new equipment with your own funding first, and then we would reimburse you after the project has been completed. And some quick information about disadvantaged communities. These are specific state designated communities that are disproportionately exposed to air pollution. We have additional funding available for projects located in these communities. In our district, they include West Sacramento, the Yochotehi-Winton Nation, and then the area surrounding Rio Vista. And equipment located in these communities are eligible for up to $200,000 grants, up to 90%. So slightly higher funding maximums, and entities can submit 2 applications for projects located in these areas. And last slide is just our other agricultural funding opportunities on a first come, first serve basis. First, we have an electric UTV program. So if you have an existing UTV that is gas or diesel powered, you can apply to have it replaced. You can receive grants for up to 75% of the costs, or $13,500, again, whichever is lower. And the new electric UTV also has some requirements that it has to fulfill. And we also have an agricultural chipping program. So if you're doing an orchard pullout, you can apply to receive funding to chip that material instead of burn it. You would have to already have a burn permit with our air district, and only almond and walnut orchard pullouts are eligible right now. And then the maximum funding is $600 an acre if you're incorporating that material back into the soil, or $500 if you are not planning to incorporate it. And that's all of our programs for agricultural communities. Thank you. Next up, I am introducing Rogell with Sustainable Conservation.
Hello, everyone. How many of the guests are ranchers or farmers? Farmland. Great. Okay. So today, my name is Rogell Rogers, first of all, and I'm the staff agronomist for Sustainable Conservation's Water for the Future team. And I just want to share with you who we are, what we do. And you advanced some early, what we do. And also talk about groundwater overall. What do I mean when I say on-farm recharge? And last but not least, advancing on-farm recharge, working with Sustainable Conservation and other organizations like the Yolo County Flood Control and Water Conservation District, working with, collaborating with Kristen, Sicke, and also I encourage you all to join in and collaborate with your local GSA to conduct on-farm recharge. Next slide, please. Okay, basically on-farm recharge is the capture of rainfall and snowfall and the snow melt in the Sierras, for example, in the east, and that water then moves down westward towards reservoirs that we have in various locations to store water. And once that water reaches a certain height, then we flush it down to the local irrigation districts, and they have local storage reservoirs. And once their reservoirs fill, they send that water down the canal into the canal channels where you have turnout gates at various fields. When you look at this slide, look to the far left at the different types of recharge. There's the dedicated recharge basin where you just have a hole that you've dug out and you input water into it. That hole is usually unlined. That water percolates down into the groundwater. And the next section on-farm recharge is where you capture excess flood flows from rainfall and snow melt and targeted fields that are orchard fields that are typically dormant. Put the water on that field, hold it there, percolate that water down into the soil profile and recharge the groundwater aquifer. And then the next picture there to the right is groundwater irrigation, typical where we pump water from a well with a pump to irrigate our crops for production. Next slide, please. And today I want to focus on the on-farm recharge that I just described. Technical assistance, what we provide to farmers, ranchers, landowners, 3 emphasis that we focus on. Site selection, what I call it is site selection checklist. There's surface water availability. Do you have surface water availability? Do you have conveyance? Can you move the water from the source, point A, to point B, the targeted field for recharge? Yes, check. Do you have the proper water rights to access that water? Check. Recharge suitability. Have you done a recharge suitability analysis using SAGB, the Soil Agricultural Banking Index, which is based on crop type, soil type, water quality, risk? Check. I've got excellent water. I've got excellent soil suitability, percolation rate, or I've got very good. Do you have recharge? Do you have the best recharge method for your site? Check. It's on-farm recharge. It's not a micro basin. And the second area we focus in on is preparation, implementation, and troubleshooting. These are very important. A lot of prep, implementation, and troubleshooting in the actual event. You have to have a trained eye doing this, watching it. And last but not least, monitoring and reporting data. Next slide, please. Working with us, outreach and education we provide through workshops, field, and demonstration days. We also provide pilot sites. We also provide help with developing pilot sites and demonstration sites. We provide expert guidance, over 14 years of background experience working with Central Valley growers to develop on-farm recharge as a sustainable, affordable, effective groundwater recharge practice. And documentation or one-on-one grower support from a certified crop advisor. I'm a certified crop advisor. You would work with me if you volunteer to develop a pilot site. And the most important thing, again, documentation, monitoring, and reporting. If you're not documenting, you're not recording it, how do you share this with other farmers to promote more engagement? And also, we can help with crop-specific recharge guidance, so to avoid crop health problems. And last, we can help you improve sustainability practices on your farm through developing this on-farm recharge as a sustainable water practice for the future. And it's going to help us meet our Sigma targets. Next slide, please. Preparation on the farm. Again, preparation is key. Here's a situation in the wet year of 2022-23 where a farmer was making these huge checks or berms, if you like, that were about 2 feet tall, and he was putting them every 8 plant lines to help move the water slowly across the field from 6 lines to 6 lines to 6 lines until he completed the whole field. And in this right side of this picture, you see he has a berm, a large berm dividing 2 20-acre parcels. And in that berm, there's a pipeline from the Turlock Irrigation District main canal feeding this line. And these check valves are throughout 20 acres and 20 acres side by side. Next slide, please. Management, monitoring, and documentation. So important. In this situation, in wet year 2022, 2023, we collaborated with the Turlock Irrigation District and one of their local Turlock farmers, an almond farmer, to do a case study for 40 acres. Actually, it was 80 acres of her almonds. And there in the center, you have the Turlock Irrigation District installing a telemetry impeller to record the actual acre feet being applied to the field real time. And that information sent back to their office. So we have the total water applied. And then we can use that to calculate net as after we deduct crop TC, ETC, or reference ET. Now, it's very important. You see the two farmers, sister and brother, teaming up to decide how long will we let this water sit? How long will we let the head water build before we break the berms and pass the water to the next 6 to 8 to 12 lines, whichever you decide, how you decide to divide the field up. Next slide, please. And last but not least, this is a picture of our on-farm recharge network in 2022-23 wet year in Madera, California, where we had all sorts of folks. This was a combination of the Natural Resource Conservation Services, NRCS's first bid to introduce on-farm recharge under their EQIP program. And you see behind the folk there, I'm included down there, bending down to the left of the screen. There's an 18-acre footprint there, old vineyard, 30 years plus pulled out. And the footprint allows for a collection of up to 60 acre feet of water. And in this year, this particular farmer, a vineyard and almond farmer in Madera County, collected over 200 acre feet of water in this one pond. So what do I ask of you all as landowners, ranchers, farmers? What do we need? We need willing on-farm recharge pilot partners to collaborate with us to help develop on-farm recharge as a sustainable practice for the future that is definitely effective and it's cost effective, and it gets the job done. Get water down in the aquifer where we need it. Thank you all. Next slide. And I'd like to introduce Kristen Sicke.
Thanks, Rogell. Okay, there's a camera, so I'm going to try to see if I can fit within it. Hello, I'm Kristen Sicke, General Manager of the Yolo County Flood Control and Water Conservation District. It's great to see you all. Thanks for making time for this. I'm just going to briefly go over who our district is, and if you hit the next slide, I think it also has my little agenda here. Yeah, I'll briefly give you a water conditions update based on who our district is, and then an update on the Groundwater Sustainability Agency, the implementation of the Groundwater Sustainability Plan, and talk about groundwater recharge opportunities and initiatives that will align well with what Rogell just covered. So next slide. So our district, despite the long name, is just an irrigation district. We're separate from the county. Our primary mission and charge is to provide irrigation water, surface water to farmers in Western Yolo County. We cover 200,000 acres. We're shown in the yellow polygon on this map. And our primary water supply is actually to the northwest in Cache Creek watershed. We are responsible for irrigation and flood releases from Clear Lake and Indian Valley Reservoir. Indian Valley Reservoir holds about 300,000 acre feet. Clear Lake has entitlement or an allocation of 150,000 acre feet. So there's not always these great years where we have both supplies, but this year we are very full. We have a full allocation. Indian Valley Reservoir is at about 270,000 acre feet, and Clear Lake, we have an entitlement of 150,000 acre feet this year. So it's a good year.
We have 160 miles of unlined canals, which is how we deliver the water to the farmers, about 110 customers, and on a good year, we'll provide about 145,000 acre feet of what I like to call the in-lieu recharge to the community as a whole, because in providing that surface water, we're then keeping that groundwater below the ground. So next slide, please. Here's just what I essentially said, but Clear Lake's, this was as of last week. Clear Lake's a little over 7.9 feet, might even be down to 7.8 right now. Full allocation. Next slide, please. Indian Valley Reservoir is at about, it's probably at about 279 now, which maybe I said that. And then total storage capacity is 300,000 acre feet. Next slide. So our district is one of the 26 members of this new agency that was formed. And if you go to the next slide, it's the Yolo Subbasin Groundwater Agency. We are comprised of reclamation districts, irrigation districts, the county, the cities, Yoshideki, Winton Nation. We have an environmental representative seat. We have UC Davis. I'm probably forgetting somebody very important, Farm Bureau. But we tried to make this as collaborative as a process as possible. So we have a very large board. We cover what we hope is all beneficial uses in the county. Next slide. And we were responsible for developing a groundwater sustainability plan due to the state by 2022. If you go to our website, one of my favorite things is yologroundwater.org. There's a map of all the amazing monitoring wells in the county. A foundational component of our plan is that we have a monitoring network of data that goes back to like the 1950s. And so we felt like it was a good representation to the state to tell them, we got it under control. There's no need for you to come check around over here. We'll just keep monitoring and make sure we're sustainable. So if you go to our website, you can drill down to individual locations. This is just a representation of how we keep track of real-time groundwater wells. So we have over 500 biannual monitoring locations, which is spring and fall measurements. But then we have about 31 real-time monitoring wells. And that helps us to get a better understanding of what's happening every hour, every minute, if we want. And so this map is just trying to give you a color indication of how we're doing in March of 2025 relative to March of 2024. The orange one means that the groundwater levels are lower than they were last year at this time. The purple, dark purple are that they're higher. Next slide. So again, the groundwater sustainability plan is primarily based on this monitoring data. And so what we do is we show the historical record of what the groundwater elevations or depth to water were on an average for the wells that are represented in the plan. And that is the way that we like to tell the state that things have been historically sustainable. We have recovered from drought periods, 1976, 90s, kind of the early 2000s. I think what's kind of becoming more a little concerning is this maybe downward trend or decline. So we're trying to figure out the best way to address that while recognizing that the groundwater agency has authority over the entire subbasin. And so how do we drill down to solving the smaller scale problems of individual well concerns or working with the county about potential land use considerations and recharge. Recharge is our first tool that we want to use. Next slide, please. So DWR approved of the plan, but then they said, oh, there's a bunch of things you still need to fix. And one of those that's causing me a little concern or consternation is the land subsidence. DWR is planning to come out with land subsidence regulations, and they're currently talking about it as if land subsidence should not be occurring at all. And we recognize that this is to address the San Joaquin Valley area where there's a lot of subsidence occurring, and that Yolo County subsidence is small in comparison. But in the Sacramento Valley, Yolo County and parts of Colusa are actually starting to subside more than they have historically. And so what's happening? Next slide, please. We just completed an annual report. Again, I want to give a plug for our website, yologroundwater.org, Annual report is on there. It has probably more than you ever wanted to know, but you can look at what we monitor, what we track, and what the annual update is as of this year. Next slide, please. In that, we have a total cumulative change in groundwater storage, essentially like how are we doing with relative to how we started. And so here you can see we're doing pretty well with how we started. But again, I think what's concerning is that we're not coming back up as we were in the mid 90s. And so it's likely due to change in permanent crops. It's likely due to change in irrigation practices. It's likely due to expanded acreage. And so how can we get our hands around it? Next slide, please. Something for you to be aware of, and you can email me on the side because it's complicated, but the Yolo Subbasin Groundwater Agency has worked with the county to have a little bit more scrutiny, or at least review, of new ag well applications that are submitted in the red areas on this map. We call them the focus areas. On our website, you can drill down and see whether your property is in the focus areas. If you plan to drill a new well in that area, please call me so I can walk you through the process. Next slide. Good news, in our annual report, it highlights some of the groundwater recharge projects that are already going on. The district for the past 10 years has received a temporary permit from the State Water Board to divert excess winter water from Cache Creek, put it into the canal system. That recharge has been going on. Last water year was about 8,700 acre feet that we did. City of Woodland has an amazing aquifer storage and recovery program. Last year, they recharged about 1,100 acre feet. And then the Dunnigan Water District is working on recharging ephemeral streams, Buckeye Creek, and taking excess winter water from the Tamaclosa Canal. And so they recharged about 2,300 acre feet last year. Next slide. And then, so our winter water recharge program, groundwater recharge program, I just explained essentially. The next slide will show a table of what we've done, or next slide will show the Cape Bay Dam where we divert. Then this shows a bird's eye view of how the water comes down. Next click will show Cache Creek running down. And then next click will show the 160 miles of canals, just to give you an idea of how this works. Next slide. And so we can divert water from January 1st to April 15th. We can divert up to 600 CFS for a max of 72,000 acre feet. Hopefully we get there someday. And we have a bunch of rules that are around it, and it's complicated to explain it, but the delta has to be in excess. You know, we have to get enough water in the creek, all those good things. Historically, if you go to the next click, it'll show the summary of water that has been recharged. 2016 was our best year at 11,000 acre feet. And then last year at 8,700 acre feet, we did a good amount. This year we had issues with construction projects and trying to get things done. It's fun running a 100-year-old system and all of a sudden having a bunch of deferred maintenance want your attention at the same time. Last thing is Rogell and his team were amazing in helping us to select the ideal or optimal fields within our district service area. So they did a GIS exercise where they looked at the SAGB, the UC Davis Soil Assessment Groundwater Banking Index, and then they paired it with our conveyance system, who can receive water, what the appropriate crop type is for taking on water, whether we know they're already a friendly, willing landowner. And so we brought all that in. Blue is really good. Orange is not so great because of the clay layers that are there, and it's just not super suitable. And so right now we're prioritizing our efforts to work with these landowners to enter into arrangements. We have grant funds for installing the infrastructure and reimbursing the farmers for their time and running the program. We just need the perfect window and opportunity to come up with the water available and it not affecting your crop and there not being any issues. So we'll see how that goes next year. And then Yolo-Zamora recharge, this is something that we have Sigma implementation funds for. Next slide. To try to bring excess winter water up into Yolo-Zamora. As I mentioned, they have land subsidence concerns. And so we're really working on trying to see what alternative water supply sources are available to that area. And so the district installed infrastructure to make that happen and to bring excess winter water up there. And then next slide, I think, is we're working with landowners also to put water onto their fields up there. Dunnigan Area Recharge Program, this is what I mentioned. Tamaclosa Canal, here's the Buckeye Creek, here's Bird Creek. They're using excess water, putting it into those creeks for recharge opportunities. And then I think I'm done. Oh, just kidding. And then here was what they had accomplished in November, 78 acre feet, December, 250 acre feet. And so little by little, we're trying to do these, bring together these small projects so that we can increase winter recharge. And then please feel free to reach out. I know I went through that very quickly. I apologize. Thank you. Oops, I'm sorry. I'm going to be introducing Lan Neal. Is it Neal? I'm saying it wrong. Community Alliance for Family Farmers.
Hi, everyone. I'm going to pass it to Judith Redmond first.
Hi, my name's Judith. I'm from Full Valley Farm in the Cape Bay Valley. And I'm also working with Community Alliance with Family Farmers. And this is a sort of a follow-up to what Kristen was just talking about. We have a project trying to understand this Sustainable Groundwater Management Act, or SGMA, and help to think about the impacts that it might have on farmers who can't go to the meetings and read long documents and delve deeply into the changes that are taking place. So SGMA is a rule that was passed in 2014, a law that was passed in 2014 to try and get our groundwater aquifers sustainable, make sure that they're not continuing to be overdrafted, because that can lead to the kinds of problems that Kristen was just describing, land subsidence in places, wells going dry, especially for small farmers who may have more shallow wells than larger farms. And our focus actually is on some of those small farm issues that might impact people who are very busy and farming and don't really know about some of the projects and programs that might be coming down the line. So the main thrust of the CAF program is to provide educational materials. There's some of them in your book, and to also respond to any issues that farmers may come to us with about, like, dry wells, talk to them about some of the fees that are being implemented to fund these projects and programs that are necessary as part of SGMA, to help with potential well permitting issues. Kristen mentioned a few of those that have come up, and potentially help with dry wells, talk about demand management programs if they happen. And the reason that it's really important is that Yolo County is sort of blessed with a aquifer that's actually in really good shape and does recharge after droughts. But we sort of know that because of climate change, the over the last 50 years, droughts have become more common and they've lasted longer. And so going forward from here, we know that there could be issues in droughts for some of the family farmers. You could probably change the slide a couple times. So yeah, in addition to the educational resources that you can see examples of in your booklet, we also work with the UC Davis Legal Clinic that can provide assistance understanding this law, understanding how to address issues that might come up for you on your farm. They're a great resource. And we also work with an engineering firm called Dudek. And Dudek does provide services to small-scale family farmers, like aquifer testing, analyzing well interference, doing flow requirement tests, preparing project plans, all kinds of things. And we have a little poster about that. So yeah, we do provide some of those kinds of services, and can hook you up with them if you're interested. You can just talk to Len afterwards. I'm not an expert at all on the Yolo County situation, because I've been looking at like places like Colusa County, Glenn County, Tehama County, other counties in Northern California as well. So Len is your contact here in Yolo County.
Thank you. And next up, one of your flyers, just so you know what to look at later. We have some events. So next week, Thursday in Esparta, we'll be doing a groundwater workshop. Kristen will be there. We got a chance to keep digesting this dense material that is SGMA. And then also you'll hear from two farmers, one in Hungry Hollow, and about their experiences with SGMA, how it's affected their farms and what they're doing about it. So an opportunity for everyone to talk. And also just save a date for July. We are going to be joining the Center for Land-Based Learning in Woodland for their wood-fired pizza speaker series. So we'll be doing a SGMA panel there too. And yeah, so the sign up QR code is here or in your flyer. And you also have an orange flyer as well. So up to 20K in funding there's a long list of reimbursable expenses, things that qualify over the past 3 years. That opens in September, and the information is there as well. So in conclusion, we'd love to see you at these in-person events. If that doesn't work, please feel free to reach out. We're available to have a 15-minute conversation. Just if you just are feeling confused or you want to digest this material more, or you have questions. And I also, I just want to give another plug for our technical assistance providers with DUDEC. That's if you have more of a concern about your well or the wells around you or the aquifer, then that's a really great free resource that can help you with kind of greater analysis around that. So, and that's it. All right, I'm handing it over.
Thank you. All right, so we're gonna open it up for a Q&A session, and we will stop the recording for that. So you can ask whatever hard-hitting questions you have. We'll try to answer them as best we can. So yeah, if the speakers could just kind of stay towards